All right, my name is
Lock
Eric
in.
Cooley. You know why we're here. This is Beyond the Stopwatch podcast. Today we have a special guest with us, Mr. Charles Treadway. Charles has a very unique story that we're going to jump right into. Very excited to for you all to get to know him and kind of pull out everything that we can. So, Charles, let's get it started. Welcome, sir. Happy to have you here with us.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. So let's talk about your background a little bit. Like most kids, they run track in the Dallas DFW area, and they kinda just stop there. But your story is really unique. You didn't just stop there. You went on, took everything you learned with the discipline from Dallas Elite, and you went to Clemson. Then you went from Clemson to, and I wanna read this to make sure I get the whole thing right, Columbia Graduate School of Architecture, Planning, and Preservation, studying architecture.
That's right.
Alright. And then so for me, I look at that and I'm like, that transition doesn't just happen. Like, help us understand, like, how did you get to where you are right now coming from DFW?
Yeah. Well, for starters, I used to live in like everywhere. So I was born in Greenville, South Carolina. And then my dad, with his work, we would always move around the states. And then we moved to Paris, France for a little bit, which is interesting. I don't remember it too much, but I was there for like maybe 6 months. You can call it living, but it was just
Okay.
elongated stay. And then we lived in California, and then Memphis, Tennessee, and then Dallas, Texas, and then surprisingly went back to Clemson. So that's only 45 minutes away from where I was born, the hospital where I was born, which is pretty fun. And
Wow.
a small little connection, a little full circle moment. And then I continued to pursue architecture at Columbia University over here in New York. And so I've been running track since I was in the third grade, first
Mhm.
grade. And I always loved to run. I was never really that tall or athletic up until I think it was the fifth grade or third grade where I hit some crazy growth spurt and my legs just grew super long. And I just remember that was very helpful because I was able to get those long strides.
Mhm.
And it was nice too because, I love playing sports and I really enjoyed that and the discipline behind sports and the whole mentality of, work hard, play hard.
Right.
And my mom, she was my number one fan. She still is. So is my dad. But my dad was, putting food under our roof and making sure we're all good. But my mom, she was my little voice in the back of my head, just always yelling. And she's Mexican, so I she's very like, passionate. And it's funny because you go and see all these like other moms and stuff that are not as like loud and whatever. You could hear my mom in the most crowded area, and she was
Yes.
always pushing me and pumping me up. So much so that I think even Coach Ken heard me and heard my mom and said, "Who's that kid running?" And then Coach Ken picked me up and put me into the Dallas Elite Track Club, and it was really nice. And it was really cool to be out there and meet more people and more like-minded individuals who really just want to pursue either track or continue
Mhm.
something. And what was unfortunate though is that during the year of 2021, COVID happened,
Yeah.
or I guess 2020, but the big year that was affected was 2021 because
Mhm.
most of the kids going into colleges, a lot of the programs defunded their track programs because it didn't bring in money or revenue for the colleges. The big one was Clemson. And, the alumni were saying a lot, and all these kids were saying a lot and got it back up and running the next year, which is great. But at that point, I felt like I just was defeated in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. And
Yeah.
even after I worked so hard with Coach Ken and the track and everything, and yet I didn't want to stop working. And
Yeah.
I took the whole idea of, every piece of discipline that I learned from my coach, from the team, from the
I love
people,
that.
and put that into, I guess working out a lot more, even trying out for football at Clemson, pursuing an education like architecture, and realizing, my life that was taught on the track could really put me into this mentality of working super hard and got me to where I am today, which I'm very happy about. And this is all that hard work paid off, thank God. And I'm want to make my mom and dad proud and Coach Ken proud It's really my second dad. I've known him since I was it feels like 5 years old. Like, it feels like
Yeah.
since I was just started running.
Charles, you
But
gave us a lot of nuggets. I don't wanna miss one of them. You gave us your dad moved around a lot for his work. Your mom's passionate because she comes from a Hispanic heritage.
mhm.
You gave me the discipline you got. You gave me the growth spurt. We gonna talk about all that. I mean, you just completely changed this segment for me. It's gonna be so good.
Well,
So I
good.
want let's talk about your dad. What type of work did your
Yeah.
dad do to cause him to move around like that?
So, he currently is working, uh he works as let's see, how do I put this? He was doing private equity for a while, and then he retired before COVID, but then jumped back, and he kinda works as the, CEO for most of these companies that he wants to bring up and sell, potentially sell to other higher clients to make sure that they're, you know, good and their stock options up and everything. And right now he just sold, CommScope, which, that was a pretty big deal, which is really exciting for him. And then now they're doing another company called it's brand new, and it's like Vista something. And I hate that I don't know the name fully, but it's brand new. And I'm very proud of him. But he had us moving around a lot with that, and he started off he is probably the greatest success story that I've ever heard in my life. And I'm not
Mm,
saying that because I'm biased,
yeah.
but what he goes through and what he went through, growing up where they were looking for quarters on their floorboards for, for anything, to now being able to put me on his shoulders and take me somewhere so where I can put my kids up on my shoulders too. And it's just a continued, you know, piece of family of working hard and love and dedication. So it's been a very special honor to be his son.
So we have 2 things here though, because I hear you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, your dad sounds super driven,
Yeah, incredibly
and
driven.
then your mom sounds super passionate.
Mhm.
So I'm seeing you and I'm looking at like your transition and now it's kind of making more sense to me how you got to where you are. Would you say that a mixture of your mom's passion and your dad's drive has really like blended into you to help you be where you are right now?
I would hope so. I mean, I was raised by them, and my dad, as much as he was, working, when he would come home, it just felt like I would learn so much and just see
Mhm.
his dedication. And with my mom, she would be at the game, at practice. She would pick me up 30 minutes early. She would be there ready for school. She was like it's all of everything. Yes, everything combined, I would like to say made me who I am today. And I wanna continue that, and I wanna be able to teach my kids that and raise them that way as well.
That's so good. What
Yeah.
about the moving around a lot? Do you think that was as a kid, was that harder on you to try to make friends and like, solidify your youth with a collective of certain people because you were always kind of on the move?
Yeah, I mean, like, every single place that I went to had a different culture, and
Mhm.
it was really you know, we were in Memphis for 7 years, and what's crazy is that one of my best friends since I was in the 1st grade, he's now living in Brooklyn, so I can see him whenever I want to, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And I basically they were my second family. I would go over to their house all the time. Shout out Fawaz Omer and his whole family. They're amazing. And I learned a lot of their traditions too, where, they're Pakistani. And so I'm learning all this, of love that they have. And then, I have my other best friends who are from there. And then Dallas, all of my friends right now, they live there and working and all that. And they have this big joke where I'm never home. I'm anywhere but home. I'm always working and moving around and
Yeah.
trying to keep pursuing my dreams. But it's always nice because I've lived the life when I was a kid and moving around, and that's kind of like that's what I know. But I
Mhm.
try to become friends with people with everywhere that I meet, because if you're a person who doesn't want to make friends, then I don't think that's the human condition. I think you always got to make friends and meet people and build connections and just love, and it's important.
Right. I want to talk about your mom a little bit, but I want to go back to you talked about Coach Ken being your, like you said, your second dad.
Yeah.
Tell me about Dallas Elite. Like, how old were you when you first joined the track team?
Well, so in the 8th grade, I started running for my, old alma mater high school, Cistercian, which is a monastery school over in, Irving, Texas,
Okay.
and, during one of the meets, Coach Ken was there as I think he was just observing and trying to recruit some more people,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, he probably heard my mom yelling my name or something and, pumping me up. And he's like, I like that. I like that vibe or something. And then he walks over. And next thing I know, my mom is like, "Oh, let me introduce you to somebody. He says he would love to push you forward and maybe get you some, college opportunities and maybe, if you want to love track as much as you do, I think this is the man." And,
Mm,
met coach and ever since then he's just been my mentor. I talk to him, I try to talk to him at least once a month.
okay.
Sometimes it's a lot harder with work now, but when I was living in Dallas, I saw him for at least 8 hours a week,
Oh, yeah,
so it
because of
was
practice. Yeah.
yeah, practice,
Right.
but then it was me and him on top of that too. Like I would go to the elite track club and then right afterwards I'd be running for another 2 hours.
Your story is very similar to my youngest daughter's story.
Oh,
She's
really?
in ninth grade now, and she started running with Dallas Elite last year when she was in eighth grade.
Mhm.
Now, I would say coach is hard on kids, man,
Yeah.
especially when he sees something in them, he is hard on them.
Yeah.
Now, tell me about the toughness, because I know he was tough on you. What type of toughness and did Coach Ken instill in you?
I mean, just like a dad would, right? They just keep they keep pushing you so much where it's like you feel like their fingers are going into your skin on your back, but you know that you're gonna keep pushing forward and they're not like it's not it's like the most they say no pain, no gain. And it's like the most loving, tough love that I could get from a coach, that I've ever had.
Mhm.
And he
Mhm.
like he pushes, pushes, pushes. And I mean like I wouldn't have a plaque on my, bedroom door that says virtual all American because COVID had that whole weird
Yeah.
situation where they had but I mean, to see all American on my wall is
Yeah.
I think a coach. And it's like all that hard work put me through that. And it's like I can't thank him enough for, when I'm dying, and my legs feel like they're about to fall off, he says, "I need another lap," or "Hit me this time." And I'm like, "Coach, I can't do this." And he's like, "Yeah, you can. You've been out here for 2 hours. What's another 5 minutes?" And I'm like, "I know, you're right." So I
That
keep
sounds
going and going and going. And it's that mentality too when I'm in studio for school because architecture is a demanding curriculum. I'm in the studio from 9 in the morning until sometimes 12 or 1 in the morning. I'm there for hours and hours and hours, but I keep remembering when I was feeling pain on the track and I'm like, they're just gonna it's just I'm hearing Coach Ken say, "Just give me one more. Just give me one more." And
Oh,
I'm
I love
just
that.
there working hard.
That gave me
So,
chills. I'm not gonna lie. That was so good. That was actually one of the things I wanted to know was like, was there anything in particular, like habits that you
yeah.
learned from Dallas Elite that you were able to use, studying architecture? And it sounds like 100%.
No, yeah. I mean, track is one of those sports I mean, it was the first sport. People like to argue that it's not the first sport, but history tells us that it's pretty damn close to being the first sport,
Yeah.
and it's the human existence of running and just
Mhm.
keep moving forward, and I think there's no other way to put it, to metaphor for life as well. It's just incredible.
So you went through COVID, couldn't run, went to Clemson, couldn't run. Was that a goal of yours to run at Clemson?
Yeah, it was, and I had been reached out by the coach and everything, but it was during the time where it was like, you know, kind of up in the air, like, we'll see how the, COVID and everything, how life works out with that.
Right.
And and then I got reached out to, like, all the other D3 schools and a couple other D1, but I really wanted to run for Clemson because my dad is an alum from Clemson as well, as a grad student, and so there was that blood, that orange blood that I really, you know, wanted to I mean, I have Clemson everywhere in my room, like, I got this little, like, thing for my passport that you
I
can
love
put
that.
it in as the Clemson paw and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you come into my house, you could have sworn that I don't go to Columbia, but but I love Clemson to death. But yeah, that was a goal, and then it just all happened, and I knew that I was going there for education as well, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna take that on the chin and see like how I can keep using the stuff that I learned from track to push me
Mm,
forward.
yeah.
But I will say there was a point where I felt so defeated. I kind of lost all the habit from track for a little bit because it's pretty hard to just go from running
Yeah.
twice a day, 4 days a week to not running at all because you
Mhm.
can't. And I was just like, this sucks. So I just wanted to keep working out and doing the physical stuff that I learned through all that. And then that gave me a what's this dream to still run and play sports in Clemson. And so I started training for um football for the football team, the Clemson football team, and try and do a walk on position. Coach was there helping me on the
Mhm.
phone,
Yeah.
giving me a diet plan, and it was a whole different coach. I had never seen coach not tell me to run straight. It was more like spurt, turn, spurt, and Coach Ken is a very smart person, and
Hey.
he's able to, he could coach anything. He could teach, somebody who can't run to run,
Mhm.
and so he pushed me with that, and I was this close. I was pretty close, but I did choose architecture over football because as much as I wanted to play, I think at the end of the day, I didn't see myself going professional at football.
Mhm.
But I learned all the workouts, and I feel like I'm in very good shape because of it. And I'm just happy to keep coasting on that very good shape and use all my discipline that I learned from sports to put that into my work in school.
Now, Charles, that's not an easy jump to go from possibly running track at Clemson to walking on to a school that is a football school.
hmm
Like, did you? Because we didn't really talk about football earlier. So, did you play in high school, or
I
was this
did.
just like,
I
okay,
did.
tell me.
So I was pretty skinny back then. Because track, you got to keep, slim. And I used it a lot. I used football a lot as a good workout for track. And
Okay.
so then after a while, I started growing very passionate about it. And my coaches saw that I was pretty passionate about it. I started both sides of the ball. I was a receiver and I was a cornerback. And so that was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a little Travis. I mean, I wish I was as good as him. I like that. That would be a dream. He is so gross. Oh my gosh, I've never seen a better football player in my life.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, it was fun. Um, and our senior year, back on COVID, our senior year of high school football, a lot of Texas schools canceled playing. At least a lot
Yeah.
of like 3-star, and we were a 3-star because we didn't have a lot of students in our school. And so we
Mhm.
didn't have too many players. And so a lot of the 6-star schools like Allen or Jesuit, they still got to play, but we didn't. And that year, I put on 25 pounds for football, and I was actually really, really excited for it. And I
Oh, you
went
was
from
joking,
like, yeah, I went from 150 to 175.
and that
And
was
that
just
was
muscle.
no, I hope so. I tried it to make it just muscle, but
Yeah.
with all the workouts and everything that we were doing, I felt pretty strong. And I was running like a .98 10-meter fly. Point Coach Ken had me at a 4.49 40-meter dash.
Ooh.
I was feeling really good and I was getting a lot
Yeah.
stronger and I was like, I think I could do it and we're going to kick ass this year.
Yeah.
Then we got the sad news and I think that itch for me to just play a sport and Clemson being a football school, I was
Yes.
like, why not? Like
Yeah.
nobody's going to say the worst they could say is no. And, I started working from the second I stepped on campus to the tryouts in April and they had called back. So I was called back maybe like 2, 3 times with the other people for the 2, 3 days of training.
Yeah.
And then there was some guy who was telling me that a good friend of mine, he's like, they have these summer trials, and I can see if I can get you onto that summer tryout because they say they don't have any positions, but if you do the summer tryout, they know you really care. So you can try that out. And I'm like, okay, why not?
Mhm.
I'm already working out 3 hours a day trying to get this.
Might as well.
And I wasn't studying architecture at the time because I was a business major because that was what I applied to for track. So where I could have more time and focus on school. Not to say business is easy,
No,
but
I get it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You notice all the players going into business, and it's
So
a
let
good thing.
that's so interesting you said that. It makes me wanna ask this question though. So we're at Clemson, can't run anymore, football, you had to make a decision, and so you're in business. What the transition though, was it like a hard transition of saying, "Okay, I'm not an athlete per se anymore." Did you
Mhm.
struggle with that, or was it just like, "Hey, that's over, I'm locked in on architecture now?"
I think it was hard. It was very hard, because as much as I still wanna say I'm, like, a little athletic, there's a part of me that I'm more like, you look at me and you're like, "Oh, he's fit," type athletic, not necessarily like, "Oh, this guy's gonna bulldoze me on the football field, or he's gonna run my ass out on track." Like, I've lost I feel so, like I don't want Coach Ken to hear this, but I feel like I've lost a lot of my running skills.
Really?
I used to be a hurdler. That was
Okay.
my thing. And I
Yeah.
feel like I haven't done my stretches and all that stuff in a while because architecture, that's where I'm taking every lesson that I learn,
Mm,
I'm putting it into school and work and pursuing that, but still keeping a discipline of working out and at least doing some stuff. And I feel like I could run a little bit, but yeah, but it was hard, I think. That was a big decision for me because my grandmother, on my mom's side, mi Pui, we call her Pui, and she lives in Guadalajara right now, and she's unfortunately suffering with dementia, and it's getting a little worse, every single day. And but since I was little, she told me, she said, "You're gonna be an architect." And I'm like, "Pui, I can't
wait a
do that. Like, I don't wanna, like, I don't know if I'm the person to do that." And I was a very artsy person. I like painting and drawing. And she's like, "You're gonna be an architect." And so I finally noticed that Clemson had a very, very good architecture program. And I as much as I like business, I don't wanna make it my career path because 'cause I'm too artsy for that, I think. I'm too, like, more design focused, and I have a lot of
Yeah.
ideas.
Uh,
And so, um, I took a summer or first I applied to the program. I got in, which was exciting. And then I took a summer transition course where it was 2 semesters worth of architecture, which is already pretty intense. And they took 2 semesters and put it into 2 months. So we were in the studio every day from 7 in the morning to 2 in the morning. And that was still during the time where I was trying out for the football and trying to get training for that because they told me I was 180 at that time, and they said, "You gotta get to 200 now and try out for safety because that's where we could have you, if anything."
yeah.
And I was like, "Okay." And that's what I was hearing from my friend, and I'm like, "Why not? That sounds like a fun time." And so that I was still keeping myself athletic and working out because even after I finished studio at 2, 3:30 in the morning, I'd go to the gym that was 24 hours, work out for 2, 3 hours, nap, and then get back to work. And I would do that nonstop. And I would eat like 6 meals a day trying to, pump up my muscles and get them really going. And I think at some point, as much as Coach Ken's voice was in the back of my head and said, "Just do one more, just keep going," my grandmother's voice came in there too and said, "You're gonna be an architect, you're gonna be an architect." And I think there was this it didn't feel like a conflict. It felt more of like a marriage between Coach Ken's voice of saying, "Just give me one more," and Bui saying, "You're gonna be an architect." Kinda combined it to be like, it doesn't have to be sports that you can make them
Mhm.
proud with you. You can make them proud through your school and your learning. And that's when I made the decision over the summer and said, I'm just gonna go full into architecture now. And Coach Ken's voice is still in the back of my head, but in a different light, and I'm able to read it a little differently, along with my grandmother's.
That's what I was saying, dude, don't skip over the grandma part. That was so profound that your grandma told you this when you were a little boy. You go,
But yeah,
what did you think she saw in you when you were that little to say, "This is what you're gonna do"?
I mean, she saw me drawing, and she just saw me sitting there, and she would always look at these buildings that were around her, and she'd be like, "You could design that. You could design that. You will be an architect." And actually, my portfolio that I made that I have to, to continue portfolio of my works, I've dedicated fully to my grandmother. And so, you know,
That's special.
yeah.
That is special that she saw something in you that early on and said, "Yeah." And then
Mhm.
it comes back full circle though, like that's different. That's different. You said
Yeah.
something throughout this whole conversation, I've heard you say it at least like 4 times. Why not?
Yeah.
I love that mentality that you have, like, "Man, I'm gonna just do it. Why not? Why not me?" Like,
Mhm.
where did you get that type of perspective from? That simple 2 words, like, "Why not?" Where'd that come from?
I think it's my dad. Like he would like I was telling you, he was picking quarters from the floorboards of his house,
Yeah,
and when he was 12, he would look outside and see the fence where the pool was, and he said, "I wanna be in that pool," but they couldn't even afford or not subscription, but I guess a membership at the pool house, and he would be really wanting this stuff, and then he had this girlfriend when he was little, and he wasn't driving, a nice car, but he sees, the girl have this guy over, and his car is a super nice Corolla, I think it was, and he just had this mentality of like, not necessarily I'm gonna be better than them, but more like, why can't it be me? And
right,
he's like, I'm gonna start working. And he started working when he was 12, throwing newspapers out, and then car wash, and then started doing General Locks and worked with Thomas and Betts. And then up there, he just kept going and going and going and going until finally where he is today. And that mentality of why not? In the same way, like with my mom too, Mexicans are very unfiltered. And it's more why not in the sense of like, why not me? But in this, like, she tells me, she's like, why don't you do this? Or why don't you do that? Like, let's do
yeah,
it. Let's do it. Let's do it. And this was before, Coach Ken's telling me just one more, just one more. And my grandmother
mhm,
saying, you're going to be this. It's just everyone in my life was telling me, you can be what you want to be. And if you work hard enough, you'll get there. And I've seen examples of that. And so I think it started with, how I grew up and what I saw.
mhm. So you had a lot of people pouring in just confidence into you. That's pretty amazing. But you said that your grandmother was from where? Where what did you
From
say?
Guadalajara in Mexico.
And is that where your mom was born as well?
She was born in DF, so in Mexico City, but then she was raised in Guadalajara.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she had the transition from coming there to the United States. So I know she saw some things and went through some things probably at a young
Mhm.
age that probably made her push you that much
Of course.
harder. Would you agree?
Of course. I think I'm very grateful and, privileged to be where I am now,
Mhm.
and that's because of all the hard work and dedication, my mom being a Mexican who just got, her citizenship when we were living in Memphis, which that was a whole process, and we're very proud of her for that. And then my dad, who really was a nothing to something story of greatness, and I am able to be in a family of hardworking, loving individuals who push me, and I'm able to have mentors in my life that push me. It's like I'm very grateful and I'm very fortunate that life led me this way because I could be lazy and sleep all day with everything that I've been given and taught,
Mhm.
but I'm not the kind of person who like I don't ask for things. I don't like asking for things. I want to work hard to earn those things because I've seen that in my life. And so that's a driving factor for me and seeing
Now,
that in my life.
in my culture, the African American community, your story from your parents, we say they got it out the mud.
Mhm.
From where your dad was and your mom was, man, that's a real, like, we did it type story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I love this. So when people hear this story, I hope that they can pull just out of, like, regardless of where their parents started or wherever they think they have to go, like, they could do it if they just say, "Why not me?"
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And I
yeah, I love that.
think yeah, and I think, there is a downside for people like, as well with, like, the whole, they made it, out the mud, like you said, and it's like those kids sometimes end up being these spoiled brats, I can't lie.
No,
Like
I
I
know a couple.
yeah, I've known a couple too, and it's like
Yeah.
it's hard for me to see because maybe it's the culture in me, maybe it's, the
Mhm.
Hispanic culture, my dad
Yeah.
being Cajun from Louisiana, I don't know if I told you that.
No, you did not, sir.
Yeah,
No.
he's Cajun. And so I have this whole, community of family life and pushing, like, that's the culture that I was raised in, and having a success story like my father and, a citizenship like my mother, and just seeing these people keep fighting and pushing, and it's not like my kids, because of my dad, and my
Mhm,
life is gonna be, a little easier than most, but at the same time, it's still something that I want to give back and something that I want to work even harder than my dad, even if that's possible. Because now it's like I want to give 200% of what my dad gave his 200%, right? And so
mhm,
I'm here basically, like, my dad describes this as like a big totem pole, right? He said, like, I started from nothing, stood up, put you on my
yeah,
shoulders,
I
and then
like
now
that.
you're going to take your kid and put
And put
him
them
on
up.
your shoulders, and you're going
Yes,
to continue that.
I
And so
love that ana
and then that's, like, the way to, think about it. I'm not gonna sit here with a silver spoon in my hand and tell people, how to, live my life. It's like I'm here working my ass off so where my kids are able to see from me and see from their granddad how to work their asses off and how to become
Mhm,
successful and to follow their dreams and to pursue their dreams. And that's just I think that's the difference between, you get out the mud, but what do you do once you're out there, right?
come on. That's it. Yes,
Exactly right.
exactly. Man,
Exactly.
this has been so good. So let's jump to Columbia. So
Okay.
you're at Clemson,
Mhm.
and tell me about why you chose Columbia.
Well, Columbia, you hear that name, it's an Ivy, and it's very,
Mhm.
scary.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yes.
like, I know I work hard, and I'm like, there's always that part of you that's scared, and it's like, you're not gonna hear something that you wanna hear from a school like that. They're just gonna say
Yeah.
no or ignore you. And I'm like,
But why
and this
not?
exactly, why not? Why not apply? And, like,
Yeah.
legit, that you're gonna like this story a lot. So,
I can't wait.
in Clemson, they do a study abroad program, every spring and fall.
Mhm,
I got admitted into the fall senior year program in Barcelona, and I would go there to study architecture. And our professors, Miguel and Mercedes, they're the best. And I was able to speak with them in Spanish because, my culture and everything and how I was raised. My first language was Spanish. And I wish that I could say that my Spanish is still good, but I'm trying to practice a lot. And a lot of my friends here at Columbia are like Hispanic, so I've been trying to speak with them.
okay.
Um, and so, you know, we're over there and we're talking and talking, and they were some harsh professors in a good way, in the same way that, like, they're like, do this. Like, I present them a whole building design, and then they're like, oh, we need to change it up a little bit, or oh, this needs to happen, or this to this or this to this. And we would argue, not argue, but like it's like clients, it's like an hour, 2 hours just talking about what's the best thing to do. And maybe every project is really hypothetical in school, but to me, if you treat it like work, you're gonna have
Mm,
that same mentality when you get into the workforce.
mindset, yeah.
And so at some point at the end of the semester, I was talking to Miguel about the schools that I was applying to because my senior year of college was when you send the applications out to those schools.
Mhm,
And I was telling him, "Oh, I'm applying to you know, um it was CU Boulder at Denver. That was a big one. That was my number 1 for a while. USC over in California, the Clemson program again because they have a really
mhm,
good grad school, and, a couple others that I'm forgetting. Tulane, that was another one. And as you can see, they're all kinda, like, culture related stuff too, because as much as I don't wanna admit it sometimes, like, I wanna be where my family's from all the time. And I'm like, "Oh, no, I thought of this," but it's like, "No." It's ingrained in me, it's in my blood. And so, I'm telling them everything and all this stuff, and then I'm like, "And I wanna apply to some big league schools, but I don't know which ones yet, but why not?"
mhm,
And that same day, we're drinking cava. You know what cava is?
I do what is that? Tell me. I
So
feel like I've heard it before.
so champagne is from Champagne, and you
Okay.
can't drink or make champagne or export it anywhere else in Europe that's not exported through Champagne. And so in Spain, in Barcelona and other places, they created a champagne equivalent called cava.
Mm,
And so that's like the big cultural drink there, one of them.
okay.
And as a celebration of finishing the studio, we're all drinking and we're all having a good time. Miguel comes up to me, grabs me, and he says, "You are going to Colombia. Send your application." And I'm like, "Miguel, this is crazy. I like as much as I want to do it and why not, right? Like I'm just like I don't know if I can get it." He's like, "No. You're going to Colombia. I'm going to write you a rec and they're not going to say no to you."
Mm,
And I think me working so hard with them were helped me at least get a foot in the door. And then I spent like I think 2 or 3 weeks straight where I was in the studio for, 10 hours on my holiday and Christmas, working on my portfolio, so where I could submit it to Columbia and try to get in. And then I'm driving in my car, and, well, my ex-girlfriend now, but my girlfriend at the time, she's I'm driving over to see her, and she's, at home, and she's a runner. So that I always need a little bit of running in my life, I guess. She's a cross country, runs all the time. Um, so she just finished her run, and we were supposed to hear back from Colombia today. At least I was.
mhm,
And I'm in the car and I get an email from Colombia. It says acceptance. And I'm
mm.
like freaking out because I'm in traffic, and I'm like, I can't open this right now. I can't open it. And she's on the phone and she's like, just come over and we'll wait. And she had the computer out open, and I run inside and we're staring at this computer screen, like ready to press like the button to see if you
I can
got in or
see it.
not.
Yes.
And and all these things in my head are going through like every single moment that's led up to this. And I'm like, I, I don't know what I'm going to do if it says no. So it's a big, like, it's scary.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "You press it." And she's like, "No, no, no, you have to press it." I'm like, "I can't do it, like, it's scary." But then you know what, I manned up, I pressed the button, and the confetti pops, and you could hear our screams from the whole neighborhood. We were
Nice.
so excited, so
Yeah.
excited. And I think it was just so refreshing to feel like all of that hard work paid off to get there,
Mm,
and it was nice. It
yeah.
was nice.
It's a special moment.
It was a very special moment, and now that I'm here, I I'm glad I've been working so hard because everyone works this hard now. I'm in a room full of bright-minded people that, I'd like to
Mm,
say are like me, but I feel like I'm more like them, and I'm trying to learn from them. And my dad said, like, "If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the
find a
wrong
new
room."
room. Gotta find a new room. Yeah,
Exactly.
man.
And so that room is like, I'm not even kidding. I usually work with headphones on because I like to lock in and, like, listen to my jams. But in that studio, I just pause my music and have the noise transparency, whatever, and I hear the conversations around me. It's like listening to like a bunch of Einsteins in a room together. It is insane. It is insane. And so I try to learn from everyone and talk to people and meet people. And, I'm currently trying to apply for the student president for the student class representative right now because I just want to get to know more people.
Why
And
not?
why not? Why not?
Why not, man?
Why not?
I love that.
Yeah.
And
So
I wholeheartedly believe you're gonna get it.
I hope so. I hope
And when
so.
you do, text me back, and we're gonna come back on here and talk about that.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course. No, but it's nice, and, like, the people there, like, a lot of them are foreign, and they're from, China or Vietnam or Japan or, some of my best friends, Puerto Rico and
Mhm.
Cuba and, Brazil. It's a very multicultural space, and I've never really been like, every single part of the world, at least one person from in that studio is in there, and being able to speak with them and talk with them is really, really cool. And my studio last year, for a lot of them, I like to be friendly in studio. I like to make friends and meet people like
Mhm,
we talked about earlier, because the more people you know in your life, it can help you further and you can help them in a lot of ways. Who knows? You know?
mhm.
Why do you need to sit quietly in a corner when you can meet people around you? I think that's the number one thing. And there's, this big tradition, like, Friendsgiving, that whole thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, I was saying, "Oh, we should do a Friendsgiving." And they had no idea what it was. And it was so fun to me to be able to host all of those people in a space like one of my other friends' places here, and this big long table, and we all brought our own foods from our cultures and everything. And I think it was really rewarding to hear, like, this is my first Friendsgiving or my first
Mhm,
Thanksgiving that I've celebrated in the United States, and I thank you for doing it, and thank you for treating us so nicely and all this stuff. And then I'm telling everyone, like, how grateful I am to meet them. Like, it's just so many, like, wholesome moments that I share with people here already that is just so special. And they teach me a lot too. And these, like, everyone I'm telling you, it's like talking to somebody who, yeah, it's like talking to a Google screen. Like, they know everything. They know
wow.
everything. And it's just, and it's really cool still to see people experience things for the first time,
Mhm.
you know?
So, but you're at Columbia, Ivy League. If you could tell me, like, 1, maybe 2 things that shocked you when you first got there, good or bad, what would you point out?
This is a tough question. I think good way. I think the biggest thing that shocked me was, like I said before, just the intelligence that's surrounding the room. I
Yeah.
never really like you hear it in the movies and you hear it in, the shows and all that. Like Ivy Leagues are a different game. Like you will not be able to tell, or you will be able to tell a difference from, a college like Clemson, which great college with filled with incredible intellectual people, like no hate. But you
Mhm.
go to a Ivy League like a Harvard or Columbia or Yale
Right.
or something, and it's just a whole nother world. It's a whole nother planet.
Yeah.
And you know, that was a cool part. That was one good thing. And then I will say, I think it's good and bad. Columbia GSAP, the program is at least removed from a lot of the political stuff that's going on right now on campus, um, which is a good thing. But the bad thing is for a school like Columbia, we don't get a lot of funding at GSAP, and I wish that would change. And we've been trying to talk to people about it and trying to figure things out because as small as like our printers for pinups. Like it costs $150 to pin something up on a wall that's going to be up there for, you know, a- only 5 hours maximum.
Mm.
And like there's ways that you can get around that and try and be better. And it's like, Clemson, coming from Clemson, our studio was beautiful. If you ever have the time, look up Lee Hall in Clemson, South Carolina. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous piece of architecture, and it feels like you're in a forest of learning. It like genuinely, you see these columns that tr- that look like tree trunks that like the branches come out to let in the sunlight. Like it is incredible. And then you walk onto Columbia's campus, and you're in like a Renaissance era. You feel like you're seeing like Greek sculptures and these domed buildings, and you're like, wow, I am so excited to step onto my studio and see how it looks. You get in, and as hopefully this part doesn't get heard from a Columbia person. It is shit.
Really?
It is horrible. It
Wow.
is horrible. And it's cramped, it's hot,
Mhm.
and it just I don't know. Maybe I was spoiled at Clemson, but
Could be.
all I'm saying is a lot of my friends from who go to every other school, their studios are insane and incredible. But like I said, it's the good and the bad of the next point that I brought you was we're disassociated from a lot of the political stuff.
Mhm.
So that's why the campus isn't really giving us funding. But we need
Mm.
to find a way. to,
Mhm.
get out of all this shit that we're in right now. Can't
Right.
lie, and try
Preach.
and help the campus out. I
Right.
mean, as small as it is, it affects small communities like, GSAP, which is the Columbia group that I'm in for
Yeah.
architecture, and to the big things like the United States and our world, relationships. Like, if that person can't see the shitstorm that he's creating,
Mhm.
there's no help. And I know that's a big tangent and I won't get into that. But yeah, that's the two things I noticed. And being around educated people, I'm learning a lot from them
Mhm.
too. Like, I'm not living in a bubble. I'm living in seeing how it's affecting all these other cultures. So it's just good to see the people that I want to help out in the world at the end of the day, and try and not that they need help, but that I can provide things for other cultures using my cultural background and using the things that I've been taught, and do something good for the world instead of, being ignorant to the world's struggles and being selfish throughout the like growth of the world, I guess, like some people do. So,
But you're around all these great minds. Did you feel
yeah.
any, like, pressure when you
Oh,
got there
yeah.
and like, everybody in the room is a dog, like
Yeah. I felt a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure. But
yeah,
I think that pressure turned to motivation, like it always does. I mean, it always goes back to track. Like Dallas Elite, I'll tell you, like I'm the only one with brown Mexican skin, and
yeah,
going out there, I'm the only one, and I
yeah.
like it was not that it was like it felt intimidating because I'm like, man, I hope they don't think I'm a bum. Like, I really hope they don't think I'm just out here as a charity case. And I remember that first race, Coach Ken put me up against these behemoths, these athletic gods that are up there.
Yeah.
They're just long and tall, like just big guys. And I'm 8th grade. And I think
Mhm.
coach put me up against like these 17-year-old guys who were, one of them was going to Michigan or something for college. I already had that lined up. The other one had like sponsorship deals and all this, and I'm like, coach, like, are you like, be for real with me right now? Like, you think I'm good enough to run against these guys? And he said, absolutely. And I was like, okay. And he legit, I say nothing, and all these, some chuckles and everything, and I'm like, you know what? Let me run. Why
Yeah.
not?
Why
And
not, man?
if I make it at least 4th place,
Right.
I'll be able to talk with them and hang out and meet these people. And as soon as the gun goes off, I think I ended up being like 2nd. And I'm quiet. I'm like, that was a good race, guys. Like, it's good to meet you guys. And they're like, what the fuck is your name? Like, who are you? Like, like, let's talk, let's talk. And since then, it was just this. It felt like I was welcome in the same way. Like, after my first review and they saw my work, they're like,
Mhm.
"Who's this guy? Like, let's talk to him." It's like, but it's that type of mentality of dogs, of people who are
Yeah,
like
man.
beasts who work so hard and they know they're good, and they go to a place where they're filled with other good people. And I'm sure they were just as intimidated as I was. And it's like, from then you build this community around everyone's hard work and growth and athleticism, or intelligence, or whatever it is. And you learn that everyone's the same at the end of the day. Just,
Yeah.
we might just be a different, skin, or a different size, different sex, different everything, but we're all the same at the end of the day. And there shouldn't be any intimidation, but obviously we're also human. So it's
We
just
are.
naturally that your cortisol levels increase and you're a little stressed out and anxious, and you know, you're sitting there shaking for a second, but then somebody says, "Nice work. What's your name?" And you go, "All right, I'm good. I'm good."
Mhm. But you're at Columbia now,
Mhm.
and I would classify you as a winner based off what you have told me. But what does winning look like for you now at Columbia? What would that look like?
I think it's how do I take the education and move it into the world?
Mhm.
Um, I don't think I've won yet, at least in this game.
Mhm.
Every race is a different race,
It is.
and I think that I'm still running this one, and I don't think I'll know if I truly won until after I've graduated. But I think the best way to win is just not to slow down
Mm,
and to keep working and pushing hard, you know? So one more lap every day. Every day
one
I
more
might
lap.
come home exhausted or say, screw this class is worthless, or I'm not going to use this and all this, whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm learning all these lessons still. And you just one more day, one more work, one more job, one more lap. Just keep going, keep pushing. And if I can follow through with that, then I've won. But I also can't lose myself in the process. I don't want to become a drone. Like I still
That
need to
part.
be me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I got a few more questions to ask. This has been really great.
Well, good.
When people look at your path, when they watch this video, what do you want them to understand about how you got here?
I'll say, I think for one, I would tell them to never give up. I know
Mhm.
that's corny. I
No,
know
it's not.
people say that
No.
all the time, but
Yeah.
it's true. Like if you really are mindset or if your mind is really set on doing something, you need to think why not you and you need to just
Mhm.
keep going. I think if there was one phrase to take from this whole thing is why not?
Listen, I was gonna
Realistically.
wait to the end to tell you, you need to make that into, like, a brand for you. That "why not" brand would be I would buy it. I'm not even
Well,
gonna lie. That's
what's funny? What's funny is one of me and my best I know this is a side little tangent. I'll get back to your question in a second,
no,
but
you're
one of
good.
my
Go ahead.
me and my best friend from Puerto Rico, we're actually starting a brand. It's very underground right now. It's
Mhm.
very small, but we're trying to be to create miniature architecture for household appliances and still make it feel like a luxurious but still affordable type thing, and trying to make an impact in like your bathroom or your kitchen, and then slowly go from there and build up a design. But you already got me cooking with the why not thing and keep that going from there. It'd be super cool.
Why not is
But yeah,
cold. I think you could use that in a lot of different avenues,
it is
motivational
cool.
speaking.
Mm.
I could see it on a shirt, a hat, like,
Be a
a
cool
lot of
shirt.
people get behind that, be like, Why not, man? I'm just gonna go ahead and do my thing." Because
Why
I mean,
not?
that's really your life.
Yeah.
Everything you explained over this last 40 something minutes has been or an hour, excuse me, is just, "Man, why not me? Imma go ahead and,
Yeah.
give it a shot." And it's worked out.
Yeah. I mean, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like, back to your question, it's like, yeah, it's important to have, that mentality of why not me? But at the same time, you have to remember the people who push you to get there. You're not in this alone. You'll never be
Mhm.
in this alone. There's people out there who think they have to be the last crusader running down the battlefield by themselves when a lot of people are right there ready to go alongside and their brother in arm and everything. Like there's people out there who want to be there for you. And as much as it is like, you wanna work hard and be yourself and show the world who you are, you have to remember where you came from. You have to remember who's
Yes.
got your back, and you have to remember who can take you there with you. Like, nobody will ever become successful completely on their own. And you can see these incredible stories where, you know, you have these success stories, but for one, a very intimate one is my dad. My dad had my mom for a while. My dad had his friends. My dad had his dad, his mom. Rest
Mhm.
in peace, she died of cancer when I was 5, but for him, she was a very inspirational source. Like, he wanted to provide for her, but because she would always do stuff for him. She would go she would be in college with him over at University of Lafayette when he started his undergrad, and she would be at school with him because she wanted to finish her degree, and she would always wait outside with a, Dairy Queen root beer float, with them at school. Like there are
Sounds good.
people there,
Wow.
even if it's small, she's gonna be there. They're gonna be there for you. And you gotta keep working hard and still being thankful for the people in your life who pushed you to get there. And you've heard their names multiple times in this conversation, but I have a lot of people who helped me move forward and helped me push forward and keep going.
Mm. Yeah. I got one last question.
Tell me.
If your 8th grade self just got on Dallas Elite could see the person that you are right now, what do you think they would say?
That was a very nice question. I got a little chills there. I I
Have they
I would I
been
would
on a high
say
note?
that yeah, exactly. I would say that, you know, I think I think he would be very proud. I think he would feel like all this hard work is very worth the pain
Mhm.
and worth the working hard. Like, I would have never seen myself in Colombia, but like I said, why not? Why not me?
Mm,
And I know my little self would look at me and be like, it is worth trying. It is worth
yeah,
working hard." So
yeah.
I would say very proud.
I love that. Imma be honest with you, your story has motivated me. So I can't wait for other people to hear this so they can also be motivated. Cause I took a few things away that I'm just internally gonna use myself, like, number 1 from you, family is super important.
It is.
Family is that was apparent throughout this whole conversation. I also heard tradition, whole reason why you were at Clemson, that's very important. You even looked at different colleges based off of where your family was at because you wanted to be in that type of tradition with family. Also heard about it's important to have your inner circle and the
Mhm.
people in it and motivate you. And then the main thing, which Imma say at the end is why not?
Why not?
Why why not? Why not, man? So
That's
listen,
it.
this has been so fun for me. I have enjoyed learning your story. I can't wait to have you back.
I
So
can't wait
what
to be back.
I'm gonna go ahead and speak it into existence. Once you become president over there, we're gonna have you back, and then we're gonna
Yeah.
talk about that transition and what that looks like for you and the different other things now you gotta take on
Yeah.
while you're in Columbia. So this has been good. So listen, people, y'all gotta lock in with us. These are the type of people that we're having on every Friday. So like, comment, subscribe. Man, let's all support Charles in his journey. Uh this is beyond the stopwatch, man. This is amazing. Let's keep this
That's it.
going. Charles, we wish you all the best. Can't wait to have you back.
Well, I appreciate it.
Until next time, Mr. President, I'm already speaking into existence. Thank you for joining us.
How crazy
And
would that be, right? Why not?
it's gonna happen. It, it's gonna happen. But I'm Derek Cooley. Thank you for joining us on Beyond the Stopwatch podcast.